Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here. Today I'm on location at Johnson Nature Preserve and Harry M. Benedict Natural Preserve. And these are two locations that basically are conjoined. The first part of the preserve here, Johnson Nature Preserve, is about a half-a-mile loop trail on some really crushed gravel that makes for nice easy walking, even with a slight downhill and everything. And then it just loops back around. So that's pretty easy. And then it gets to more some kind of just more dirt paths and stuff with like tree roots interspersed throughout at the Benedict Nature Preserve portion of it. And so I'm going to be hiking both of them today since they are combined. And it's not terribly long of trails at either one or both, that is. And so yeah, and this is actually the site of the 1999 tornado that came through here in Montgomery, Ohio. And unfortunately, took out many of the trees, and basically the habitat was altered for a long time. But this is a good example of forest regeneration, which is nice. And you can see it here with many years since then, several decades at least, that the trees have grown back, and basically the forest has been regenerated, which is pretty nice. It's a great site of bird watching, and also different trilliums, marsh marigolds. You can see box turtles here at this little shallow creek or stream that flows through Johnson here. And yeah, for the day I'm going to be basically focusing on some of the wildflowers and the spring plant life that you may find such in woodlands like this. And so far I've seen some Mayapple leaves. I've seen a Dewberry that I'm actually looking at right below me here. And I've also seen some Virginia spring beauties. So we're going to be really honing in, I think, and taking probably some macro photographs of all of them. As you can see, it's early mid-afternoon right now, and it's pretty sunny out. But in the woodland here, you can find plenty of shadow and kind of more subdued and diffused lighting situations to make photographs work for you. So yeah, I think with that being said, we're going to get ahead on the trail here. Well, I'm actually already on the trail, that is, but just get along here and probably take out the camera for a couple of these different flowers I see along the trail. And I'll share different settings and talk about my compositions and all that kind of stuff as we go through it. So, sounds good? All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Alrighty, like I said, I started the video right here, standing right beside this dewberry. I believe it's a common dewberry, to be exact. And so I'm just going to take some images of it. I got my camera on a tripod, of course, 2-second timer. And I'm doing a traditional macro setup, at least for how I like to take macro photographs, of using a 25mm extension tube coupled with a medium telephoto lens, like a 75-300. And I'm keeping the aperture about f7.1, just to get enough of the center of the flower and everything, but still keep the petals in pretty decent focus. And I'm shooting at 500th of a second, which seems very, very fast, you may ask, due to being stabilized on a tripod. But there is quite a bit of breeze and wind right now. And, with these very long and delicate and dainty little flowers on the ground, even the slightest breeze can really make them kind of move and sway about, completely blurring them out in an image if I had a slower shutter speed. And then from there, I'm just doing about an ISO of 640, just because of it being a little bit more in shadow here. But the whites of the flower petals themselves really, I think, shone through, given this exposure and everything. So keep it nice and simple. Don't want to blow out the highlights, of course, of the white petals, and making sure the exposure meter is kind of right in the middle, and that I can preserve the highlight details later for when I'm doing post-processing of the image, and keeping them without being blown out, of course. So a lot of technical stuff there, but all in all, pretty cool to see these here at this nature preserve. And I'm going to take some more images, I think, and just kind of mess around with it. Right now I'm doing a top-down perspective, which is kind of like my, I guess you could say, classic style, more or less, of taking flower images. But yeah, it's pretty good. Nice start. Feels nice to kind of take the edge off and have a nice icebreaker of an image here. And then we can continue the rest of our hike here at the nature preserve. All right, for my next subject of the day, it's a kind of a leafy green and rather unassuming wildflower called Jack in the Pulpit. Is traditionally its common name. It's a very interesting leaf design because it kind of slopes over this pitcher, almost like shape of it, and then there's just a stem sticking out of it. And so yeah, it's been pretty cool. I've seen a few of them around here, and so I picked out and singled out the best angle and the best one I could get to. reasonably speaking, on the edge of the trail here. But there's been quite a few of them here, and they're a nice kind of woodland spring wildflower that you typically don't think you'd see, because it's not really bright and colorful and very, I guess you could say, obvious in its appearance. But yeah, been doing some nice images of that. I kind of slowed down my shutter speed a little bit. I'm doing about 3/20th of a second, and kind of hovering between there and 400th of a second. And then I stopped up to 6.3, and I'm doing an ISO of about 800. Just with the ever-changing light conditions and the way that the light and the sunlight filters through the kind of leaves that are right above me here on this tree, you can see on my face, it kind of makes it difficult to get the exposure you want, so you kind of have to wait for the right time and just hope for the best, given the conditions that you're in. And so yeah, it's been pretty productive and pretty nice to get these images so far. I may stop for some Mayapples or spring beauties. I'm holding out here. Hopefully we see some trilliums and stuff like that. So but haven't seen any so far, but I still got a little ways to go here on the trail, and so we're gonna keep on going here and see what else we can get for the day. Alright, so I found a really cool find here. This is my first time actually seeing this. It goes by the name of American cancer root, or squaw root, and it is a perennial parasitic plant that grows along oak trees commonly. And looks like we're in good hands here. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It kind of grows in this corn cob shape, kind of this golden brown yellow color. And there's quite a few bunches of them around here, just sprouting out of the ground near the base and the stump of this tree. And yeah, this is cool. I've never seen this before, so I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity and probably take some eye-level images of it down below. But pretty cool to see that. So not something I was quite expecting to see today, but I'm here for it. So I'm going to go ahead and take some images, I guess. All right, so this has been pretty awesome so far. I've been here in just about an hour's time here, and I've already gotten 3 different subjects, one very different from one another. And seen some new things like the squaw root, and even some old familiar friends like the Jack and the Pulpit, of course. And so it's been pretty well. It's been going really well, I think. Very productive day so far. In terms of settings, I've been doing a whole bunch because there's just different squaw roots just all around this oak tree here. I did 1/60th of a second because they're not really moving that much in the wind here. I've been doing f6.3 and ISO 640, and so that seems to be working pretty well. Just kind of choosing out which ones I want to get backlit, front lit, or just completely in the shadow, just to have a much more flat light. And yeah, they're just all around this tree, so a lot of different subjects to choose from, both near and far, in terms of doing a macro zoom perspective like this. And yeah, pretty cool to see this kind of thing. So I'm gonna keep going here. Hopefully we get maybe like 1 or 2 more images, but so far I think I'm pretty satisfied with what we got so far. So even if we just got a nice hike in and didn't get any more images, that would be okay too. But so let's go ahead and keep going here. Alright, so I'll keep this brief because there's a lot of traffic noise behind me here, but I've actually finally found a Mayapple little flower that's bloomed, and it's kind of interesting because they bloom on the stem about halfway up or down depending on how you look at it. And so they basically have an umbrella, if you will, along of the green leaves above them and everything. So I haven't mentioned it yet in this video, but yeah, I've been searching for one, and I finally got one that's a fair distance away, but I feel like I can pick it apart here with my my macro setup here. And it's kind of cool. It's really cool to see these. It's hard to tell sometimes because you really have to kind of move the Mayapple flowers, or excuse me, the leaves over to really see underneath them sometimes. And not all of them get the flowering bits at the same time. So it's been pretty cool to see those, at least here. And so it's been a really nice evening or afternoon out here. Pretty calm out here in the woods, except for all of course, the traffic noise in the distance, but also just, you know, hearing all the bird song and stuff of the migratory birds. I think the coolest one so far is I've heard a Cape May warbler and summer tanager, which you might hear off in the distance. At least I can still hear it, that is. But yeah, so and they're high up in the treetops, so it's kind of tough to you know, see them and everything. But you can definitely hear them because they're quite loud singers and everything. It's been kind of interesting. I've been using some spot metering just because of the sunlight that's been directly glaring on these white flowers, and so I've been doing actual, you know, pretty high shutter speeds, really, just because of the wind and all that. I've been doing about 800th of a second, f6.3, and ISO 640 again. And so no filters, 2-second timer. Had to elevate the tripod a little bit taller to get to, you know, a fairly distant kind of level playing field here with the flower itself, because it is kind of up on the slight hill right in front of me here. And so yeah, it's been really nice out. I've been really enjoying this. Alright everyone, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, I got quite a plethora of photos on different types of species and plant life, which was my goal and I guess my aim for coming out here today. And so yeah, it worked out pretty well. We got to see some dewberries, some spring beauties, some mayapples with the flowering parts of the plant. And then that squaw root was really cool to see that. Yeah, that was really cool to see that for my first time. And to even get some images of it at all was pretty nice. So I think today, you know, it's a really nice exercise and just a reminder that, you know, even in sunny conditions like this, you can still make the most of it and get images that you may be happy with. Just because of its sunny days like this doesn't mean it's impossible to use the light to your advantage and to, you know, just work with the light and shadow and see how they interplay, and to even go inside, you know, the woodland here where there's a little bit more shade, and to you know, create images that way, really. So yeah, worked out really well, I think, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This has been Johnson Nature Preserve and Benedict Nature Preserve, and yeah, until next time, make sure to get out here. Thank you.